World Bipolar Day is being observed today under the theme We Are Bipolar Together. Details in this Jalissa Hines report.
World Bipolar Day is observed on March 30th to spread awareness about the mental health disorder that affects people all over the world. The day is marked on the birth anniversary of world-renowned Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh, who lived with bipolar disorder his whole life.
Bipolar disorder is a mental condition whereby a person may experience abnormal highs, or what we call mania or hypomania, or abnormal lows. The lows would be depression, as we may know. Now, bipolar disease was also formerly known as mania or depression.
That was Dr. Shallon Toppin, doctor attached to the Bohemia Health Center, explaining what is bipolar disorder. She went on to highlight some symptoms of the disorder.
A person can know if they're suffering from bipolar disease based on unusual changes in mood swings. It's normal for a person to feel excited or feel sad at some given point with an explained reason. But in bipolar disease, these persons have an unexplained emotional high or excitement, or it could be psychosis or abnormal or any unusual behavior, or abnormal lows, right? That would include depression or signs and symptoms associated with depression or bipolar or other mental diseases. These signs would also include things like suicide. You have excessive compulsive disorders. You have shopping sprees for no explainable reason. You have agitation. You have withdrawal, attention deficit. All of these are included in bipolar disease or disorder.
Bipolar disorder affects about 4 to 5 million people worldwide. Dr. Toppin then stated what causes bipolar disorder.
Causes of the bipolar disease is not exactly known. However, we have a lot of pointing factors that would have been associated with causes of bipolar disease. For instance, there are two major categories. You have biological disorders or disabilities. These persons most likely would have some type of brain injury or damage noted, and genetic disorders. If you have first-line relatives, including a brother, sister, or mother with the same symptoms, you may develop bipolar disease.
World Bipolar Day's ultimate goal is to inspire a global shift in thinking that will eliminate social stigma and promote acceptance. This year, the theme is We Are #Bipolar Together. World Bipolar Day is an initiative of International Bipolar Foundation, IBPF, in collaboration with the Asian Network of Bipolar Disorder, ANBD, and the International Society of Bipolar Disorders, ISBD. Further, Dr. Toppin disclosed how the disorder is treated.
We have medical or medicinal methods where you administer medication. However, these medications would be decided based on the specific symptoms or the classification of the type of bipolar disease you have, which could be either the mania, hypomania, or depression. Depending on how you express your illness, the psychiatrist would choose which medication would be best for you. So you have depressive medications, antidepressive medications, anti-anxiety depressions medication. We have a combination of the two, or basic nutritional treatment, or it can be related to any illnesses associated with the symptoms of bipolar disease.
Additionally, she said,
if you have Cushing disease, if you have a stroke, or if you have multiple sclerosis, these are some illnesses that would mimic the bipolar disease. So if you have those associated, thyroidism is another cause. You can treat those as well medically. Now, we also include what we call psychotherapy, which includes education, educating not only the individual with the symptoms, but the family and friends, or any person who is a confidant, or some person that the person has confidence in to express their symptoms or go to for help. So we have psychotherapy, we also have psychological assessment. We refer these persons to a psychiatrist who will do the necessary assessment and the management plan for these patients. So apart from that, we also advise that persons desist from use of alcohol, recreational drugs, and other associated factors with development of bipolar disease.
World Bipolar Day 2022 encourages people to talk about the problem so that it is not considered taboo in societies everywhere. World Bipolar Day brings attention to symptoms that often go missing by the affected persons and people around them. In conclusion, Dr. Tapin left these words of advice to persons who have a family member or friend with bipolar disorder.
If you have a relative or a family suffering from bipolar disease, it's advisable that you don't discriminate in the sense that you try to separate them from society, you try to tease them, you try to not associate with them or be embarrassed. Now, these symptoms can be treated. There isn't an exact cure. However, the persons can be helped so as not to express the symptoms that are necessary. So if you have a relative, it's advisable that you get early help for these persons. We go to counseling very early. If the persons, most of these patients are prone to having suicidal thoughts, so if we decide to discriminate or treat them badly, they may eventually commit suicide.
She also added,
so what we need to do, advise them if they're having suicidal thoughts to speak to somebody they trust urgently, and that person would be advised further to take them to the psychiatrist, take them to any doctor who could also refer them to a psychiatrist, even call 911 in the event that the person has attempted suicide or expressed signs of committing suicide. At one point, we advise hospitalization as well, so you don't have to keep the person at home and suffer with them. You bring them to the hospital and we can do admissions, the necessary assessment by the psychiatrists or mental health doctors, and we further give them medication. There's also coping patterns that they work with in the Mental Health Institute so that we can teach these persons how to cope with their emotional changes so that they can adequately function in society, have healthy relationships, and not express these abusive and detrimental behaviors that are often common.
Reporting for Channel 8 News, I am Julissa Hines.